Decluttering can sound like a tedious chore. However, the feeling of getting rid of things that just seem to be in the way is a good feeling. These are a few ways that I started to declutter to make the process a little more enjoyable and easier to begin. But first, if you're new to my channel, thank you for stopping by. Here we talk about minimalism content, self-improvement, and things of that nature. So if that sounds good to you and you end up liking the video, be sure to like and consider subscribing. Now, let's get started. Now, the first thing that I implemented was the 20/20 rule. The 20/20 rule just consists of decluttering the things that can be replaced for under $20 in less than 20 minutes from your current location. Once I applied this rule, it helped me be a little more strict when it came to decluttering those just-in-case items. And I mean those just-in-case it breaks items or those just-in-case I have guests items. A good example of this was when I was ditching a lot of coffee mugs that I ended up collecting because I really always ended up only using the same one or two. Or even the combs and hairbrushes that I have no idea how I even ended up with more than one. Now, I won't apply this rule to consumables like razor cartridges because I know that since I shave like once a week, that they do get used. Enforcing this rule on myself really helped me decide to declutter or keep the things I was, for the most part, on the fence about. Sometimes I think a just-in-case item might save me money, when instead it's actually just costing me space. Every house I've ever lived in had a designated junk drawer full of things that the 20/20 rule could eliminate. These are small things that I found in my desk drawer that just got in the way of things that I use on a daily basis. Spared phone chargers, batteries I weren't sure were good anymore, and extra USB cables, more than I ever needed. These are things that I ended up parting with because while I might need them one day, I haven't needed them in the long time they've been occupying this space. Everyone's 20/20 rule might look a little different, but try it out and see if it makes sense for you. Next is the 1 in, 1 out rule. This is probably the minimalist rule that I most strictly abide by. The 1 in, 1 out rule is whenever you purchase something, you replace an older or broken version of whatever you just bought. A good example is whenever I buy a new t-shirt or article of clothing, I simply replace one that's already in my wardrobe. When deciding on a piece of clothing to declutter, I consider the last time I wore it and the next time I'll wear it. And if I can't even remember or imagine myself wearing it again, I know it's probably time to go. For the most part, this helps me decide whether it's worth keeping or not. Now, it's not just with clothing, that's with anything I need to replace. And this rule always keeps me about at the same number of possessions. It might sound weird, but whenever I'm considering purchasing a new item, I'm already thinking in my head what it can replace that I already own. For example, my keyboard of 10 years is on its way out. It's becoming less responsive and really showing its age, so I'll replace it with a new one. Using this rule keeps me from obtaining things that I don't need. For example, if I know I don't have a pair of shoes at home that needs replacing, I'm not tempted at all to bring home a new pair. For me, it's the best way to keep myself in check and keep me from purchasing things that I don't need to. Now, the last rule here is to remember that there is no magic number. And this is one that I personally struggle with. I often forget that minimalism isn't about getting to the lowest number of belongings possible. This leads me to get buyer's remorse and, quite frankly, guilt of buying anything just because I'm now adding a new item into my life. I think it's important to remind myself that it's okay to have new things if I need it and I'm gonna get use out of it, and that there is no magic number of items that I need to stay at. For me at least, minimalism is about owning only the essentials and the things that bring me value and happiness. And of course, naturally, that's going to be different for everyone. I've had friends who know me and see my room and feel like they need to go home and start getting rid of stuff because they feel like they own too much. I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you own 100 things or 100,000 things that bring you value and happiness, it might be worth keeping. Applying these rules into my life definitely made decluttering kind of a fun and easygoing process, and it's an ongoing process. There's really no end to the journey, only milestones. But anyways, thank you so much for sticking to the end of the video. I hope it brought you some value, and if it did bring you value and you enjoy this type of content, consider subscribing to the channel. Anyways, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.